Hey folks, I'm Jack Fossett, and here are 5 great tones you can get with a Fender Super Reverb. This is a 65 Reissue Super Reverb, and there are some really cool tones you can get out of this amp if you dial it in some slightly different ways, slightly unorthodox ways. These are 5 of my favorites that are very usable tones in kind of real-world settings. I'm going to be using 2 guitars. This is a Fender American Special Stratocaster loaded with Texas Special pickups. I'm also going to be using a Gibson ES335. Now I'm going to be doing 5 tones that I really enjoy here, but these are not the end-all be-all of dialing in a Super Reverb. There's a lot of other tones that are out there. If you dial it in a different way, feel free to let us all know in the comments. Also, to let you know that these tones will work pretty well with most of the amps in this line. So whether or not you have a twin reverb, a deluxe reverb, even a Pristine, with just a little bit of different sort of tweaking and things, you can get sort of similar shades of these tones using other amps in this line. So without further ado, let's jump in with the first tone here. This is just a basic clean. It's one of the prettiest cleans you're going to find from any tube amp out there. The Super Reverb is just pristine for this tone. Let's start out with a great clean tone. Next, we're going to go for a vintage blues tone, like a big stage blues tone, like you might have heard from Freddie King or B.B. King, who used amps in this line, whether or not it was a Super Reverb or a twin reverb or other amps. You do this by dialing back the bass and pushing a lot of reverb to compensate for some of the treble-y sound. And for the second part, I'm also going to kick on a DCW Pedals Klon Centaur Clone with a K, to get kind of that pushed sound so that I don't have to overdrive the entire amp. For the next tone, I'm going to use a generous portion of the amp's reverb and tremolo to get kind of a cool 60s surf, kind of in the realm of also like spaghetti western tone, with really, really heavy effects that coming from the amp itself. Super reverbs can get a great jazz tone, and one of the common mistakes that a lot of players go for in getting a jazz tone is just rolling the tone off on your guitar. I find you get a much better classic jazz tone if you dial back the EQ on the amp and keep your guitar's tone wide open. So for this next jazz tone, I've got the EQ on the amp rolled off, but the guitar's tone is rolled all the way up. For the last tone, I'm going to go for a little help from a classic TS-808 tube screamer to go for a Texas blues tone inspired by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Check out how great this amp sounds with a TS-808 running into it. Thanks for watching. These are 5 tones that I love from the Super Reverb that are easy to dial in with a little bit of extra help from some pedals here. If you want a more comprehensive review of the Super Reverb, check out in the description. I've done a much longer review of the Super Reverb, including in that review where I played it turned all the way up. For this video, I wanted to focus on some tones that were a little bit more accessible, something that you can use in more of an everyday setting as opposed to turning this up, which is just ridiculously loud. As I said, please let us know how you dial in your Super or your Twin or your Deluxe. How do you dial in your amp? Let us know in the comments. I'm Jack Fossett. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.